Our next inductee is a native of Minnesota, Craig Dollansky. Nobody said sprint car racing would be easy, especially at the elite levels of the sport. When I look back across the years and think of Craig's career, that's what I think of. It wasn't easy. He's had to hustle and work to keep things going, and there were lots of ups and downs. Race cars beat up his body more than once, and I'm sure there were times when he wondered how he could keep all this going. But his reward was success. Success at the top levels of sprint car racing for an eventful run of nearly 20 years of racing with the very best at the toughest venues. If I had to list the trait that most defined Craig, it would be tenacity. He never gives up, never stops digging. One of the most important stats of Craig's career is this: 66 World of Outlaws feature wins. Across our long history, only 15 drivers can lay claim to 66 Outlaw wins. Craig has 16 wins here at Knoxville and made the National Saturday Night A feature 19 times in 22 tries. Craig was the World of Outlaws Gum Out champion in 2000, and from 2001 to 2006, finished in the top 5 in Outlaws points every year except 2003, when he was sidelined for most of the season following a crash in an Infiniti Pro Series at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Sprint car racing has been on his mind since he was a small boy. He had big dreams, and his story is one of achievement, because through determination and hard work, Craig Dollansky made his dreams come true. This moment is the culmination of all of that hard work. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Hall of Fame, the crowd pleaser, Craig Dollansky. Well, it's been a long road, and here we are. I'm so happy for you and your family coming out to be with you. It's just a great day.
Yeah, big day, special day. Yeah, it's an honor for sure.
So I'll ask you the same question. I remember seeing you when you first started coming down here. You had this mustache going, I remember. And was there a time where you started to feel like, there's a place here for you? You can make this work and keep it rolling.
Yeah, there was. It took a while to get to where I got to, start winning races. But it all started here at Knoxville. Started with Dwayne Roebuck giving me a shot in his car. Then they fired me at the end of the year, which is the best thing that ever happened. And got together with Bill Kane, who's here tonight. Bill, we made a lot of things happen with very little as far as equipment went. And, at the Knoxville Nationals one year, we started 18th in the B main and passed Amos Swindell on the last lap to make the A main and put him on his first Knoxville Nationals. So that was 1994. Won my first feature with Bill, Marshfield, Wisconsin, Steve Sinclair. And congrats to all the inductees, but IRA, went there, won that race, and I thought, hey, man, we're on our way. So, a lot of good things, a lot of memories of that car, and many others that got me to where I'm at today.
You made the decision pretty early on to race at a high level in terms of, you could have stayed around Minnesota, you could have come down here every week, but you really were determined that you were going to make it with the Outlaws. And what fueled that decision? What was it that drew you to that?
Well, one, I wanted to get to the point where I started getting paid, when I drove for Bill.
I can relate to that very much.
So finally I got to the point where I was going to be able to get paid, and it was tough to quit Bill's car, but I got the Jensen Construction car, ride 55 car, a very famous car from this area, and we had a great year, and won an outlaw show here at Knoxville and won quite a few races, but quit that car at the end of that year. A difficult decision to go and get on the All-Star Tour with the 2D car. So, just a lot of people helped me get there, but when I started getting paid, we were at a race in Jacksonville, Illinois, and my beautiful wife, Julie, who's been with me forever, all through it all, the race got rained out. And so we're at the hotel bar, and she's talking to the car owners, and they're telling her about my percentage. And she goes, man, you guys are paying him? She goes, he raced for them guys for nothing. So right away, they're trying to jack me back 10%. I said, hey, Julie, don't ever get involved in my negotiating with my contract. So.
She was only trying to help.
Yeah, she sure was. And, you know, just took a, you know, just a lot of great people, a lot of great team owners, fans, people that supported me through the years, sponsors. Some people are here tonight or today. Appreciate all that, family. You know, just it took a while to get to the Outlaw Tour, but we finally got there too.
You know, I don't think a lot of people fully appreciate navigating racing at that level in terms of you're with this car for a year or less than a year, and then you got to line something else up. You go along, and you're pretty soon you realize you just deal with a lot of people, and just it's hard to keep that going.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I got the Mopar ride there in 1998, I think it was, and you know, great respect for the people in this room tonight getting inducted, well deserved. Davy Brown Sr., Jr., Don Ott, you know, the horsepower thing was a big deal. But that Mopar car didn't run, you know, until Mark and Carl got a hold of it. So ended up, you know, quitting that ride, but learned a lot through that. And at the end of the day, you know, it's not easy, you know, to put the right team together. You know, and then finally just, you know, we got some other stuff going with some different teams. I quit that ride, went to an IRA team, Howie Gleason. I think I run fourth at Joliet in his car and lapped a Mopar car. And they said Gary Stanton headed out of the racetrack, you know. But me and Gary talked after that. Great guy, does a heck of a job, Mopar. But just all the people that helped me get here, just it's a long list.
What kept you going? I know this deal, it does beat you up physically, but really mentally, you know, you're trying so hard. How'd you keep, what did you reach for when things got tough?
Well, I'd have to walk you through a lot of things in my life from since I was a child, right? But at the end of the day, you know, I just, you know, it was a passion. You know, I started racing with my dad. My dad raced in the Midwest, and, you know, I loved racing, you know, from 8 years old. And it's very cool and very special. My third grade teacher is here that heard a boy at 8 years old talking about being a race car driver. And Mrs. Atkins, stand up, will you please? Appreciate you being here today. Fargo, North Dakota. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? Every teacher in the country needed to see that right there. How about that?
It's just so special, you know. And, you know, once I got going, you know, to see Mrs. Atkins and her family come to the races, and others, just, you know, very blessed. There's others here as well. Kathy French, Chevalier, you know, Scott Billish, Jane Billish, my family, you know, my kids. I'm very fortunate and blessed in many ways, and my kids are all here. My grandkids. It was pretty cool.
That's very cool. Awesome. You made the difficult decision a few years ago that you had some back surgery, and I know I've seen it with many, many different people, but I remember us talking about that. That was a hard one for you because you touched on it a second ago. You really did love this.
Yeah, I sure did. I mean, once I was in New Zealand, and I looked at my wife and Peyton and said, look, I'm done, you know. Body's done, don't want to travel like this anymore. And so, yeah, it took a long time for me to get my mind around that. You just never prepare for it coming to an end. So finally got there, my beautiful wife, you know, through days in hospitals, and, you know, you go through a lot of stuff. So thank you, Julie, for being there all the time. Appreciate it.
The racing's, yeah. Sometimes life throws stuff at us where we find out what us and the people around us are made of, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt. And, you know, again, I'm blessed in so many ways with the team owners I drove for, the sponsors that supported me, the fans, you know, just it's such a great sport. This is such a special place. National Hall of Fame, you know, just Bob Baker, his team, what they do, and how special that place is. You really don't know until you get to this point in your career, honestly. It's not like everyone over there and checked it out that much, but now here we are, and you really respect it, appreciate it. Knoxville's where it all started for me. You know, a lot of family and people here that supported me through that. And I was down here in 1981 with my dad at the Nationals, and we slept in the barns on the fence, you know, looking at Sammy Swindell in the FedEx car, and, you know, some of the stuff, you're going, man, I'm just in awe, right? And now you got these 53-foot trailers and semis, and it's just crazy. But again, you know, I'm just very honored to be here, standing up here today. It's special, and again, you know, to be here with Damien, you know, great race car driver, Todd Schaefer, everybody else that makes it all happen. I truly just very blessed.
So bring us up to date real quick with these days. I know you got a new passion, a new direction. Tell us about what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate in that regard too. With my former car owner, Scott Boyd. Without him, wouldn't be where I'm at today. And now in life after racing, he owned caravan trailers. I raced for him 10 years. And so now we're doing things in real estate that's going very good. And I enjoy it. I got passion for that arena too. But nothing will ever move you like get behind the wheel of a 410 sprint car race car. You'll never replace that ever. So I tried a few times, but it didn't work.
Well, with you, I'm not a betting person, but if I was going to bet on somebody being successful in business, I'd bet on you because I watched you, racing would knock you down, and it didn't matter how many times. You always answered the bell and came back.
I appreciate that, Dave. Appreciate that very much. And, it wasn't easy. Thank you, God. And thank you to everybody else that's here today and who's not here that wanted to be here. I appreciate it all. Thank you.
The crowd pleaser, Craig Dollansky. Patrick?